This podcast is brought to you by Shattered Justice. And please vote for our friend Shawin from the Goosebumps Crew podcast to win the Face of Halloween 2025. The link is in the description. Your vote is appreciated.
Hi there, Adam and Ilea here from the AI Analysis podcast. Over the weekend, we revisited a film that, well, after 25 years, clearly changed comedy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's right. We're talking about the American Pie film franchise, focusing specifically on the 4 theatrical releases: American Pie, American Pie 2, American Wedding, and American Reunion. It's genuinely mind-boggling to think that a quarter century has passed since the original movie burst onto screens in 1999.
A whole quarter century.
Its enduring legacy and how it continues to resonate, it's just fascinating. Our mission today is to truly explore how these films didn't just offer a few laughs, but profoundly reshaped the landscape of the teen comedy genre. We're going to dissect how their unique brand of humor holds up when viewed through a modern lens, and perhaps most importantly, what these films from their inception to their final theatrical reunion reveal about the dramatic cultural shifts we've witnessed in comedy over the past 2.5 decades. You might be surprised by what we uncover.
Well, it's absolutely crucial to set the stage by understanding the late 90s teen film landscape. Before American Pie arrived, Hollywood had just rediscovered the power of the teenage audience. Films like Wes Craven's Scream in '96 had proved that teenagers weren't just some niche market. They were a vibrant, ticket-buying demographic with, significant spending power.
Right. They suddenly realized, hey, there's money here.
Exactly. Studios realized there was this underserved segment eagerly looking for content that spoke to them directly. This also coincided with a generational shift. The kids who grew up on family-friendly comedies in the early 90s, think the broad appeal of Home Alone or maybe Mrs. Doubtfire, they were now maturing.
Getting older, wanting something different.
Their tastes were evolving, demanding something sharper, something with a bit more edge. So Hollywood wasn't just looking for any teen movie. There was a specific ambition to revive the teen sex comedy genre, a subgenre that had, frankly, laid dormant since the 1980s, with titles like Porky's and Bachelor Party having kind of faded from mainstream relevance.
Yeah, they felt pretty dated by then.
Totally. American Pie didn't just step into that gap. It blew the doors wide open.
So with that clear appetite for harder-edged, yet still, relatable teen humor, how did screenwriter Adam Hertz and the Weitz brothers manage to hit the bullseye so perfectly with the original American Pie? Let's peel back the layers of how that phenomenon truly began.
The initial vision behind the film, I think, was genuinely audacious. Screenwriter Adam Hertz wasn't just aiming to make another teen movie. He had a very specific personal goal: to craft an R-rated teen comedy that genuinely resonated with kids on their own level. He openly admitted to drawing inspiration from those 80s predecessors like Porky's, films he'd even studied academically in college, apparently.
Really? He studied Porky's in college?
Yeah. But he wanted to infuse his script with a warmer, more empathetic spirit, a nuance often conspicuously absent from previous entries in the genre. Herz actually grounded the narrative in his own high school experiences in Michigan, which lent it this air of authenticity. And what's truly telling about its initial appeal is the provocative, almost defiant title he gave the script when he first submitted it.
Oh, right, the title. It was something else.
It was untitled teenage sex comedy that can be made for under $10 million, which studio readers will likely hate, but I think you will love.
That's a title that certainly grabs your attention. You have to admire the chutzpah.
It absolutely does, and it worked like a charm. That audacious title, coupled with a script that clearly hit a nerve, sparked a significant bidding war among several major film studios. Universal Pictures ultimately secured the rights in '98, reportedly for somewhere between like $650,000 and $750,000.
Not bad for a script with that title.
Not bad at all. And then came another remarkably unexpected choice for directors: Chris and Paul Weitz. Their prior experience was primarily as co-writers for the animated film Ants.
Ants. That's quite a leap to R-rated teen comedy.
Right. Chris Weitz himself confessed they were as surprised as everybody else when we got the gig because we'd never directed a frame of film before.
Yeah.
This surprising lack of prior live-action directing experience, however, arguably gave them a tremendous sense of freedom. They weren't bound by conventional approaches, allowing them to truly embrace the script's raw and unique tone,
Which is a gamble, really.
a gamble that paid off immensely.
It's fascinating how that creative freedom, or perhaps the sheer lack of preconceived notions for first-time directors, really translated into some incredible casting choices and just undeniable on-screen chemistry. Can you imagine Jonathan Taylor Thomas, JTT, huge teen idol from Home Improvement at the time, as Jim Levinstein? It's wild to think about that alternate universe.
Totally different vibe.
But the role ultimately went to Jason Biggs, who brought that absolutely perfect, quintessential blend of awkwardness, desperation, and surprising sweetness to Jim. And then there's Eugene Levy as Jim's dad. The character was originally envisioned as a rather generic, red meat, all-American dad guy.
Right, just a stock character.
But Levy, with his unparalleled comedic instincts and nuanced character work, utterly transforms him into this neurotic, suffering, overprotective, over-involved father figure.
He just made it his own.
This reinterpretation elevated those famously cringy father-son sex talks from just uncomfortable to genuinely endearing and even kind of profound in their awkwardness.
And we absolutely cannot overlook Sean William Scott's audition for Stifler. It's legendary for a reason.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
He was explicitly directed to dial down the character's more abrasive qualities, to make him a bit more palatable. But Scott, with incredible foresight, intentionally played Stifler like an asshole anyway.
He just ignored the direction.
Apparently. He apparently had a clear goal to get more screen time. And clearly, he succeeded beyond anyone's wildest imagination. This bold, intentional choice to lean into the character's most obnoxious qualities while somehow still making him compelling and undeniably hilarious was a stroke of comedic genius.
Definitely defined the character.
And the film really was a breakout for so many of its young cast members. Jason Biggs as Jim, Allison Hannigan as Michelle, Shannon Elizabeth as Nadia, Natasha Lyonne as Jessica, Chris Klein as Oz, Thomas Ian Nicholas as Kevin, Eddie K. Thomas as Finch, and of course, Jennifer Coolidge, who became an instant icon as Stifler's mom.
What a cast. Just lightning in a bottle.
It truly was a perfect storm of emerging talent, each bringing something uniquely memorable to their roles.
And here's where it gets really interesting regarding the production environment. That relatively modest $10 million budget Universal Pictures initially allotted for American Pie wasn't a hindrance.
No, not at all.
It actually allowed for a tremendous sense of freedom. This meant actors and filmmakers had significant room to improvise a lot of the dialogue and gags, which is something you rarely see in big studio productions today.
Especially not now.
Can you imagine a major studio film in the current climate allowing that much organic, on-the-fly creativity? The iconic apple pie scene, for instance, nearly didn't happen in its full, infamous glory.
Really? How so?
The first assistant director, J.B. Rogers, actually had to passionately convince the Weitz brothers to shoot him fucking the pie, as he vividly put it, because their original intention was just to imply the act.
Just hint at it.
Right. But the creative team, embracing that freedom, said, you know what? Yeah, we can do that. Let's just do it. That kind of spontaneous decision-making often leads to cinematic gold.
That anecdote perfectly illustrates the uninhibited atmosphere on set. And speaking of iconic gross-out gags, there was an initial moment of panic right before filming began. The American Pie crew attended the premiere of There's Something About Mary, which had just come out and featured that now famous hair gel joke, essentially a cum joke, as hers described it.
Oh, right. The timing was super close.
Exactly. The parallel was simply too close for comfort, making hers openly wonder if this would hurt their film, if they'd seem like they ripped off another movie's key gag.
Yeah, that would be worrying.
But ultimately, they realized the humor and the context of the two gags were distinct enough, and their fears, thankfully, proved unfounded. The pie scene, with its unique blend of gross-out and Jim's profound embarrassment, stood on its own.
Absolutely, and their fears were indeed completely unfounded, because when American Pie was released on July 9, 1999, it didn't just hit, it exploded.
It really did. Huge.
It grossed an astonishing $235.5 million worldwide against an initial budget of only $11 million, rocketing it to become the 12th highest-grossing film of 1999. It was a textbook example of a sleeper hit, a film that performs far better than expected, slowly gaining traction through word of mouth.
Everyone was talking about it.
Critics and audiences alike largely agreed that it not only entertained but genuinely revived the teen sex comedy genre. Reviews were mixed, earning a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 58 out of 100 on Metacritic.
Which isn't amazing, critically speaking.
No, but even Roger Ebert, a truly respected and often discerning critic, praised it. He found it cheerful and hardworking and sometimes funny, noting importantly that it's not mean.
That's a key point, the not mean part.
The sentiment that the film possessed a genuine heart despite its undeniable raunchiness became one of its most defining and lauded characteristics, setting it apart from its predecessors.
And it's that delicate balance, between genuine raunch and surprising sweetness that truly lies at the core of the film's enduring appeal. It wasn't simply a full-out, gross-out humor film like some others, to paraphrase one reviewer.
Right, it wasn't just about the gags.
No. Instead, American Pie masterfully balanced its crude humor with characters who, at their heart, were good-hearted boys that think they just want sex. But the narrative subtly, yet effectively, evolved beyond that superficial desire. You saw these characters developing a deeper want, striving for better connections with girls that, yes, may involve sex, but that's not all that it's based upon.
Like Jim's constant vulnerability or Kevin trying to figure things out with Vicky.
Exactly. Think about Jim's excruciating vulnerability in almost every sexual encounter, or Kevin's genuine, if clumsy, attempts to understand Vicky's feelings, even as they pursue their shared goal of losing their virginity. These small, authentic moments, juxtaposed with the outrageous gags, created characters you genuinely rooted for, not just laughed at. This is what truly set it apart from, say, Van Wilder, which leaned almost entirely into pure gross-out.
Yeah, Van Wilder was a different beast.
Critics lauded Pie for succeeding in bringing back the teen movie genre by being so embarrassing it's believable. The film's heart is in the right place, consistently managing to avoid the outright cruelty and malice often prevalent in other high school movies, particularly those from the 80s. So despite all the bodily fluid gags and the explicit language, the underlying mature message was that sex isn't simply something to be attained, it's part of a broader human connection.
That balance, the way it merged outrageous humor with unexpected heart, is precisely why these films stuck with people, leading to some truly iconic moments that etched themselves deeply into cultural history. The apple pie scene, for instance, didn't just become a memorable gag, it became arguably the most infamous scene from the entire film.
Oh, for sure. Everyone knows that scene.
It was so boundary-pushing, so overtly sexual in its comedic premise, that the MPAA, that's the Motion Picture Association of America, which assigns film ratings, originally slapped it with an NC-17.
Which would appeal to commercially.
Absolutely, a commercial death sentence for a mainstream release. To secure an R rating, they actually had to make cuts, reducing Jim's 4 thrusts with the pie to just 2 thrusts.
2 thrusts, that's specific. Wow.
That scene alone cemented the film's lasting, uncomfortable infamy. And then there's the term MILF. While it existed in certain subcultures, it was absolutely popularized and introduced to a mainstream audience by Jennifer Coolidge's character, Stifler's mom.
She became the MILF, basically.
Making her an instant, unforgettable icon. John Cho's character, forever known as MILF Guy, further enshrined the term in the sequels, demonstrating its immediate and widespread cultural adoption. And who could ever forget Michelle Flaherty's unforgettable band camp reveal?
Oh, classic. This one time at band camp.
Exactly. Allison Hannigan's character, initially presented as this incredibly timid, socially awkward, flute-playing student, completely subverted audience expectations by revealing an entirely different, quite domineering sexual side with the now legendary line, "And this one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my pussy."
Just came out of nowhere.
And what's even more incredible and speaks to that creative freedom we talked about is that this line was largely ad-libbed by Hannigan herself.
No way, she just came up with that.
Apparently, it perfectly captures that element of delightful, shocking surprise the film thrived on, instantly transforming Michelle from a background character into a breakout star. And of course, Seann William Scott's portrayal of Stifler became an oft-quoted, oft-derided icon, and arguably the defining role of his career. He embodies this lovable but hateable, gross but somehow endearing lax bro persona that truly left an indelible mark on teen film archetypes.
It's truly remarkable, though, how much the comedic landscape and indeed societal norms themselves have shifted in 25 years. When we look back at moments from the first film, we can see just how dramatically some of American Pie's core jokes simply wouldn't land today.
Oh, absolutely not.
Or at least they'd be critically reevaluated through a very different lens. Take the Nadia webcam incident, for example. Stifler, ever the instigator, convinces Jim to set up a webcam to surreptitiously watch Nadia undress, which Jim then unwittingly shares with the entire high school's email directory.
Yeah, that scene feels uncomfortable now.
Looking back, critics and audiences today rightly highlight this as one of the more toxic aspects of the film, specifically for the set piece involving Nadia being filmed without her knowledge or consent. Even screenwriter Adam Hirst candidly admitted he didn't totally succeed in making the film less sexist than past teen movies. That particular scene in our current climate would unequivocally spark significant outrage for its egregious violation of privacy and consent.
It's a stark reminder of how rapidly our collective understanding of these issues has evolved.
Furthermore, even at the time of its release, the MPAA objected to specific pieces of raunchy dialogue, demanding edits to secure that commercially viable R rating.
Right, like the pie thrusts. What else?
For instance, the line, "Ride me like a pony," was originally far more explicit, conceived as "blow your wad on my tits."
Whoa, okay.
Similarly, "spank my hairy ass" was initially "play with my hairy balls." And that infamous moment when Stifler mistakenly swigs the semen-laced beer asking, "How's the pale ale?" was originally, "How's the man chowder?"
Man chowder! Oh my god.
These mandated changes highlight the cultural boundaries of the time, which, while seemingly less strict than prior decades, are still vastly different from what might be considered acceptable or even funny in mainstream comedies today, where the language of sexual humor has itself been re-examined. And broader commentary on the portrayal of women in the film also reveals its dated aspects. Critics noted that the film gives so little thought to the opposite sex, who are either brazenly lusty or careful gatekeepers of their own chastity.
Yeah, the female characters weren't always super developed, were they?
This one-dimensional portrayal is widely seen as unfortunate and part of a continuum of teen sex comedies that historically struggled with depicting female characters with genuine depth and agency. Perhaps Alison Hannigan's perspective as a parent best captures this generational shift in comedic sensibilities. She openly discusses viewing the entire movie through the uncomfortable lens of her teenage daughter potentially watching it someday,
Oh, I bet.
confessing she's dreading that day and is playing an ostrich, wanting to stick her head in the sand.
That perfectly illustrates how what was once just raunchy comedy now carries a profoundly different weight for parents in a world with rapidly evolving views on explicit content, consent, and gender dynamics in entertainment.
The humor, while still impactful for some, simply doesn't age universally well.
So moving on from the groundbreaking original, the franchise wisely capitalized on its success with American Pie 2, released in 2001. This sequel clearly aimed to give us more of the same, but dialed up to 11 bigger stakes, bigger gags, and more outrageous situations.
Right, the classic sequel formula.
The plot sees our familiar friends reunite a year after high school graduation, descending upon a sprawling Lake Michigan beach house for what they hope will be the greatest summer party ever. The narrative heavily focuses on their continued quest for sexual experience, but also, crucially, on navigating the complexities of college relationships and solidifying their friendships. Crucially for fans, all the main original cast members returned, which was a huge draw, ensuring that familiar, beloved chemistry remained intact.
Which is smart, kept the core appeal. And American Pie 2 absolutely delivered on that promise of bigger with its gags, some of which escalated the original's cringe comedy to new heights. One truly memorable, if utterly squirm-inducing moment involves Jim accidentally supergluing himself to his hand,
Oh god, the superglue scene.
leading to an utterly mortifying visit to the hospital and his penis being declared unusable temporarily. It ramps up the physical comedy that Jason Biggs, as Jim, had become so famous for. What's also quite notable, and certainly a joke that would undergo significant critical reevaluation today, is the scene where Stifler, ever the intrusive provocateur, assumes two female house occupants are lesbians.
Right, and he breaks in.
He then brazenly breaks into their home, attempting to find proof of their sexuality. When the women return, this invasive act leads to a quid pro quo proposition that, thankfully, Jim and Finch leave it discussed, demonstrating at least some evolving moral compass amongst the core group.
Okay, good that they walked away at least.
But Stifler's actions, his invasive assumptions, and the manipulative nature of the situation are prime examples of humor that would face much harsher scrutiny in a modern context, particularly concerning privacy and presumptions about identity. Yet amidst all this escalating chaos, we still get the continuing, heartwarming theme of Jim's dad offering his signature brand of awkward but undeniably supportive sex advice,
Always there with the awkward advice.
providing a grounding, consistent source of both cringe and genuine affection throughout the series.
Despite some critical opinions that it doesn't retain the freshness of the original, nor is it as funny in some regards, American Pie 2 was an absolute commercial juggernaut.
It made huge money.
It became the highest-grossing film in the entire franchise, raking in an astounding $287.5 million worldwide against a $30 million budget. It even set a then record for an R-rated comedy opening weekend, demonstrating the immense anticipation and loyalty of its burgeoning fan base.
Wow, so people really wanted more.
Richard Roper, for his part, went against the grain, boldly claiming it actually had more laughs than the original, which speaks to its unapologetic commitment to escalating the humor. Then came American Wedding in 2003, which saw our characters finally taking a step towards maturity, at least in theory, though it was also notable for some significant missing faces.
Yeah, some key people weren't there.
The plot centers squarely on Jim and Michelle's impending wedding, complete with all the chaotic planning that entails. Around this central event, subplots revolve around Stifler's predictably outrageous antics during the bachelor party, and a rather intense, often uncomfortable rivalry between Stifler and Finch for Michelle's younger sister, Cadence.
Oh, the Cadence storyline.
This film notably departed from the established ensemble, omitting several main cast members from the first two films, including Chris Klein as Oz, Mana Suvari as Heather, Tara Reid as Vicky, Shannon Elizabeth as Nadia, and Natasha Lyonne as Jessica.
That's a big chunk of the original group.
Chris Klein stated in an interview that these characters were not considered for the movie, a decision that fundamentally shifted the group dynamic and, for many fans, was keenly felt.
With a smaller core group, Sean William Scott's Stifler truly took center stage in American Wedding, and his performance was widely praised. Critics observed that he was stealing the show with his over-the-top manic energy.
He really carried a lot of the comedy in that one.
However, this amplified Stifler also came with a downside. His character became very rude and annoying in the first half of the film, making it hard to laugh at for some viewers who found his antics more grating than genuinely funny.
It could be. A lot.
The gags, while still pushing the boundaries, became even more outlandish and, at times, questionable. These include a lengthy, elaborate dance-off sequence in a gay bar,
To dance off.
and the infamous scene where he unknowingly has sex with Jim's grandmother in a closet, mistakenly believing her to be Cadence.
Oh my God, yes. That was something else.
This particular moment is a prime example of slapstick with much of the heart missing, pushing the envelope of crude humor to a point where it tested the boundaries, even by the franchise's own standards. It truly highlighted how the pursuit of raunch for its own sake could sometimes overshadow the emotional core and relatability that the earlier films so skillfully maintained, leading to a more polarized reception of its humor. Despite being the lowest-grossing theatrical film in the series, American Wedding was still undeniably a significant box office success, pulling in $232.7 million worldwide against a $55 million budget. Still made a ton of money.
Reviews, however, remained decidedly mixed, with critics noting that the gags are lacking the freshness of the earlier films and often feeling repetitive. Yet for the dedicated fan base, it was still considered a worthy comedy franchise entry that continued to deliver its signature style, even if it pushed the boundaries of taste for some.
I'm looking for a girl named Dana. Does she still work here?
I don't know any Dana.
I'm your father.
CPS took my daughter. Got into some really big trouble.
What kind of trouble?
No.
The body of Dana Delgado was discovered this morning.
I'm sorry, Joe.
Dana, Peter, and Antonio worked for a corporation called SIC.
We have to get out. Tell Antonio sold us out.
I know things.
What kind of things? If you were doing your job, detective, and find the killer.
People you're after, they own this city. In a city where corruption often lurks in the shadows, most killers walk free.
Welcome back. We're dissecting the American Pie franchise and exploring how its humor has evolved and continues to resonate, or sometimes clash, with modern sensibilities. We've covered the first two films, An American Wedding, and now we move on to the most recent theatrical installment, American Reunion, which hit screens in 2012.
Right, nearly a decade later.
This film brought us a true coming-of-age revisited experience. The original group reunites for their high school reunion a full 13 years after graduation, and now they're no longer just worried about losing their virginity. They're grappling with very adult problems like marital issues, career dissatisfaction, and the general, often uncomfortable challenges of growing up.
Real-life stuff.
What's particularly cool, and a huge reason for its anticipation, is that this film saw the full cast return, including those who are conspicuously missing from American Wedding.
Everybody came back. That was great to see.
It aimed to be a legacy sequel, a film that revisits a beloved franchise years later with the original cast, often reflecting on the characters' adult lives. Long before that trend became widespread, tapping into a deep vein of nostalgia for fans who literally grew up alongside these characters.
What's truly interesting about American Reunion is how it attempts to transition these beloved characters into adulthood while still meticulously retaining the franchise's comedic essence and, crucially, its heart. It explicitly explores the characters' often awkward transition into adulthood, grappling with their personal issues, and the struggle to move on from trying to recreate the highs of high school.
Which is a very relatable struggle, I think.
Totally. You see Jim and Michelle, now married with a child, dealing with a very relatable sexual rut. Oz is living a seemingly glamorous but deeply unhappy life as a sportscaster, and Finch, once the enigmatic one, feels a palpable embarrassment about having a normal job as a retail manager.
Finch selling.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah. And then there's Stifler, perhaps most poignantly, who remains utterly unable to move on from his high school persona, clinging to past glories. The film is, as critics frequently noted, highly nostalgic, filled with knowing callbacks and reminiscent of the previous films, but it tries to layer that with genuine adult dilemmas and a mature reflection on their lives.
It felt like they were trying to grow up with the audience.
Roger Ebert aptly commented that it had a sense of déjà vu, but it still delivers a lot of nice laughs, acknowledging that successful blend of comforting familiarity and new adult struggles. It demonstrates the franchise's genuine effort to grow with its audience, rather than just endlessly repeating old jokes while still embracing its roots.
And speaking of those jokes and callbacks, American Reunion certainly delivered a satisfying dose of both. There's a wonderful, tender callback to Oz and Heather's original sweet connection with the song Sway playing at the reunion.
Oh, yeah, that was a nice moment.
Rekindling some of that early romance. And of course, Jim, true to form, again finds himself in extremely embarrassing situations, a consistent comedic staple of the franchise that always delivers those squirm-inducing laughs.
Can't have an American Pie movie without Jim getting embarrassed.
Pretty much. Stifler, for his part, is crazy as always, often causing havoc, but the film also provides a truly rare moment of genuine character development. His friends confront him about his perpetual immaturity, about being a bad friend, and specifically about his inability to move on from high school.
That was actually needed, I think, for his character.
This leads to a surprisingly heartfelt apology from Stifler and a solidification of their enduring friendship, adding a nice touch of emotional depth amidst the usual chaos. There's even a fun little goof that viewers keenly picked up on. Selena shows a YouTube video of Jim dancing for Nadia from 1999 on her smartphone.
Right, like YouTube existed quite like that then, or the quality.
Exactly. Implying actual movie footage rather than a grainy webcam feed from that era. A clear anachronism for the time, but a good laugh for those paying close attention. Overall, despite mixed reviews from critics who often found it sweetly nostalgic comfort food, but felt it fails to do anything truly new or interesting or even very funny, it was a worldwide box office success, grossing $235 million on a $50 million budget.
Still strong numbers, proving the enduring power of these characters. And if we connect this to the broader picture of comedic evolution, American Pie didn't just create a successful movie, it genuinely set a new bar for teen comedies.
Absolutely.
For years after its release, it felt like every film in this particular niche was trying and failing to top its particular brand of gross-out humor while still maintaining that crucial element of character identification. What's particularly fascinating is its undeniable influence on what became known as raunchy but sensitive romantic comedy movies, a category that includes many of Judd Apatow's highly successful films, such as The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Superbad.
You can definitely see the DNA there.
These films didn't just copy the raunch. They leaned into a sweeter brand of raunch, rooted in deep friendships and the possibility of a more mature, longer-lasting romance, showcasing a direct, clear lineage from American Pie's pioneering formula. Across its 4 main films and various spin-offs, the franchise has collectively grossed over $1 billion worldwide, cementing its profound commercial and cultural impact, far beyond just its initial release.
$1 billion. That's incredible. And beyond the sheer box office numbers and its influence on other filmmakers, American Pie has absolutely secured its permanent place in pop culture history. It's not just a passing fad. It's frequently cited in lists recognizing the most iconic teen films, even landing at hashtag 22 on Entertainment Weekly's authoritative list of 50 best high school movies.
Pretty high praise.
Placing it alongside classics from different eras. What's even more telling about its longevity and cross-generational appeal is Alyson Hannigan's observation that the film is still striking a chord with a new audience and finding new fans who weren't even alive when the original came out.
Which is wild to think about. Kids discovering it now.
This truly indicates its enduring relevance despite significant changes in the comedic landscape and audience tastes. And perhaps the most surprising pop culture appearance for Hannigan, truly a sign of its deep cultural permeation.
What was that?
A line in a recent Taylor Swift song, So High School, where Swift sings, "I'm watching American Pie with you on a Saturday night."
Wow. Taylor Swift. Okay, that's peak cultural relevance right there.
That's a true marker of a film that has transcended its original audience and era.
This raises an important overarching question, though, about how comedy, particularly around sex and sexuality, has dramatically changed in just 25 years. There's a growing discussion today about a dearth of sex and sex scenes in mainstream movies, with numerous reports indicating that Gen Z in particular actually prefers less sex in their entertainment.
Yeah, you hear that a lot lately.
American Pie, with its unabashed, often explicit focus on the relentless pursuit of sex, stands in stark contrast to this emerging trend. It vividly highlights just how much societal norms and audience preferences for on-screen sexuality have evolved. The era it represented, with its forthright and often clumsy exploration of adolescent sexual desire, is rapidly becoming a relic.
A time capsule, almost.
And we must also reiterate the troubling legacy of jokes like the Nadia webcam scene, which, when viewed critically today, is now seen as a commentary on toxic masculinity and the set piece involving Nadia being filmed without her knowledge or consent. Modern audiences and critics rightly scrutinize these moments through a different, more sensitive lens, holding films to higher standards of ethical representation.
As they should.
But despite these cringy twists and turns and the moments that haven't aged gracefully, there's an undeniable spirit to the movie that continues to resonate. Its relatable portrayal of the high school experience, the awkwardness, the desperation, the genuine desire for connection, and the often fumbling journey through adolescence, coupled with the grounded and authentic performances, still connects with viewers.
There's still something fundamentally human about it, underneath the craziness.
Exactly. As Alyson Hannigan aptly suggests, it often provides a kind of comedic catharsis, making audiences think at least your experience wasn't like that, by showcasing situations far more embarrassing than their own.
Right, at least I didn't do that.
This enduring relatability, even in its most outrageous moments, is precisely why it continues to find new fans, even as our collective understanding of acceptable humor and social norms shifts dramatically. It reminds us that while the specific gags might change, the core human experience of growing up and figuring things out, often clumsily, remains timeless.
So what does this all mean for us today? The American Pie franchise, for all its crude humor and undeniable moments that feel incredibly dated through a modern lens, fundamentally captured a universal experience of adolescence. The awkwardness, the sheer desperation to fit in, the unbreakable friendships forged in the fires of shared humiliation, and the often fumbling, often hilarious search for connection, both physical and emotional. It proved that even the most outrageous, boundary-pushing comedy could still have a surprising amount of heart, and that ultimately was its true and enduring legacy. And if there's anything you'd like us to discuss, let us know in the comments. And now you can even tell us how you'd like us to discuss it.
In their May issue, Movie Line magazine released its top summer movies to see after Star Wars.
Austin Powers.
American Pie.
Wild Wild West. Eyes Wide Shut. Notting Hill.
Which makes us ask the question, why American Pie?
Okay, well, one time at band camp, I stuck a flute.
Is it the getting caught?
Hey, Jimmy. Just wanted to say sweet dreams.
Yeah. Good night, Mom.
I think he's trying to watch some illegal channels here.
Illegal channels?
This is just bad reception, honey.
Oh, baby.
What's that?
You know what? Here, just give me this,
Oh,
and let's get this.
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell's the matter with this thing here?
The awkward moments.
I want the right time, the right moment, the right place.
It's not a space shuttle launch, it's sex.
The infatuation.
I love you.
Yeah, okay.
The desperation.
What exactly does it feel like? Warm apple pie.
The fascination.
Huh? We'll just tell your mother that we ate it all.
You know, guys, maybe I'm just not good with girls, period.
All that you gotta do is just ask them questions and listen to what they have to say and stuff.
I don't know, man. That sounds like a lot of work.
Here's to the next step.
Universal Pictures presents.
Perhaps you could help me with my studies?
If you ever had a chance with Nadia, this is it.
A story about the moves.
You bad boy!
The madness.
What you drinking?
Scotch.
Single malt?
Aged 18 years. The way I like it.
And the moments in our lives.
Please, God, let this be it.
If you want to hook up with her, tell her you love her. That's how I was, dude.
That are as American as apple pie.
Boy, it's been a long time since we've had the little father-son chat. Oh, I almost forgot. I bought some magazines. Well, this is the female form. Look at the expression on her face. She's kind of looking right into your eyes, saying, "Hey, big boy."
Oh my God.
American Pie.
You do. I forgot you've been there and back.
I've learned about it in 6 days, so I really don't need you to sit here
Yes, I
talking to me
can.
about it.